Do you remember this board game which was released in 1991 named Atmosfear, or if you lived outside of the UK, it would have been called Nightmare?
Fancy a game?
Nightmare, the game hosted by a video.
I am the gatekeeper!
To win, you must stop it.
Roll the dice!
The video board game Nightmare. The gatekeeper talks to you,
Whose turn is it next?
and you must answer him.
Answer me!
Yes, my gatekeeper.
Go for it!
Nightmare, a race against time for 3 to 6 very game players.
Let's party!
You see, this board game came with its very own VHS tape, which was around 60 minutes long. Upon that videotape was a character named the Gatekeeper, who was a kind of like a monstrous man who would set the rules of the game, set you challenges, and if you failed to meet those challenges, he would punish you, and he would actually insult you. He would interact with each individual player and insult you, and it made it all that more personal whilst playing the game. It made it all that more fun and exciting. You really didn't want to get on the bad side of the Gatekeeper.
Give me your real name. Huh? I must have missed your middle name. That is a stupid name, isn't it, you maggot?
And Atmosfear, or Nightmare, became a massive success, and I remember they actually made various other editions over the years. In these other editions, they got rid of the Gatekeeper and brought in different characters. I remember there being a zombie, there was a female vampire, but the one that sticks out in my mind the most, apart from the Gatekeeper, was a witch, because she was truly terrifying. If I remember rightly, she started off as a normal woman, and then she slowly transformed into this hideous witch. That reminded me of the witch from the movie Legend with Tom Cruise, because that witch always creeped me out in that film. And she kind of reminded me of that, so it kind of scared me a lot as a kid. But that's what you wanted from these games. You wanted to be scared. That was the whole point of playing them. And of course, as time went by and VHS tapes became obsolete, they introduced the game with a DVD. And this kind of changed the game a little bit, because on the VHS tape, you just had to follow those 60 minutes, but on a DVD, it could skip and jump to different scenes and give you a different game experience, what the VHS never could do. And I do believe later on, I think it came to mobile phones as well, I think, and you could get some kind of app and you could play it along on your mobile phone. But for me, the VHS tape, and maybe the DVD as well, I never played the DVD, but the VHS tape and the DVD is probably the best way to play this. Now, I must admit, I am a little bit rusty when it comes to the rules. I can't exactly remember how to play it, so let's crack it open and have a look. And for this, we're going to have to get down on the floor because it's a little bit too big for my desk. But to be honest, as a kid, I always played it on the floor. That's where we always played our board games, so it's kind of ideal. Here we go, Atmosfear, the video board game. Let's crack this baby open. Like I said, I've not played this in quite a while, so I'm not entirely sure of the rules. I've got a rough idea of what the rules are, but I can't remember everything completely. And as you can see, the rules are quite lengthy. This includes the setup of the game as well, but there's quite a lot going on here. So I'll just read the object of the game. I don't want to bore you too much. Atmosfear is a board game controlled by a videotape. Once you insert the tape in your VCR and press play, the game begins. It's a race against time and against the game's host, the Gatekeeper. Once you press play, you cannot pause or rewind the tape. The Gatekeeper considers it cheating and wins the game by default. The aim of the game is to collect all 6 of your character's keys and then race to the centre of the board, the Nightmare Square. You must land on the Nightmare Square by an exact roll. Wait your turn and attempt to roll a 6. When you roll a 6, take the top Nightmare card. If it is not your greatest fear, race to the VCR machine and press stop to win. But once the tape reaches 60 minutes, the Gatekeeper wins. Okay, so let's just have a look at the actual board, the heart of the game. So as you can see, it's very, very nicely designed. It's got these kind of creepy humanoid bats around the edge. It's set in a graveyard. We've got all these broken headstones, which are very creepy. These are your markers that you land on when you roll the dice. The Nightmare cards go in the middle. The time cards, the chance cards, and the fate cards all go here. It's your bog standard board. What you would use in many board games, but it's creepy. It's very creepy. So the first item we'll have a look at is the actual VHS tape, which is in fairly good condition for its age. It's got Atmosfear on the front here, and when you open it up, it's very nice to see that it's actually rewound. If you grew up in the 80s and 90s, you will appreciate a VHS tape that is rewinded when you come to put it in. You'll know what I mean if you were born in that era where you actually played these. So these are the Nightmare cards, and on these cards you would take this pencil and you would write your worst nightmare. So my worst nightmare would probably be snakes. I'm not a massive fan of snakes. So that would have probably been my worst nightmare. I don't know, your worst nightmare may have been... Oh, what have we got here? A creepy doppelganger that looks at you in the mirror. Yeah, that's a pretty horrific thought, I would say. Let's see if there's any more on here. There we go. Buried alive. Yeah, that's a pretty creepy nightmare to have. Yeah, I would say that is probably a lot of people's worst nightmare, to be buried alive. But maybe your worst nightmare is, I don't know, drowning. Maybe you'd write that on, and then you put it into the middle. And as you make your way around the board, when you finally make your way to the centre, you have to pick one of these cards, which will be shuffled and laid out this way. And you would pick one of these cards, and if the card was yours, yes, it's mine, I would have actually lost the game when I picked this card up. Instantly. I would lose the game instantly when I picked that card up. If I had picked someone else's nightmare card up, then I would have won the game. If the 60 minutes were up and the gatekeeper wins the game, everybody loses. And then we would have these little gravestones, which represents you, the player. You pick one of these and you put it on the board. You also pick a little number as well. I think this is the way that the gatekeeper interacts with you. He would say, like, if your number is less than 1 or if your number is higher than 2. And that's how he would interact with you. I'm pretty sure that's how it went. You know, and you would have your own characters here. And each one of these little icons, for example... This one here is Helen. I believe she was a poltergeist. And these are her keys. And you actually have to collect 6 of these keys before you can make your way into the centre of the board. If I'm getting these instructions slightly wrong, please let me know in the comments section, because like I said, it's been a while since I played this. And then we had the chance cards, you had the fate cards, and you had the time cards. And just like any other game, like Monopoly, as you're going around the board, if you were to land on time, you pick up a time card. If you were to land on fate, you pick up a fate card. And if you was to land on chance, where is chance? There we go. You would pick up a chance card. So for example, if you landed on a time headstone, you pick up the time card. And it says, anytime an opponent has collected all 6 keys, give them this card with a message from me to return a key. So that would really annoy the other player on the team. Let's have a look at some of the others on here. At 27 minutes 30 seconds, if you are in the black hole, you are now released. Return to the back of the pack if the time has expired. So, if you were in the black hole when this time came around, you could get out. But if you picked this card up after that time, there was no point holding on to it, so you had to put it in the back of the pack. The black hole, if I remember rightly, was kind of like go to jail on Monopoly. That's where the gatekeeper would send you every now and again, and I think you could actually send yourself there by picking up the wrong card, if I remember rightly. Then we have the dice or die, and then we had this coin here. Now, I can't exactly remember how you use this. I think obviously it's some kind of game of heads and tails, and I think the gatekeeper would make you flip it, and then it would decide your fate. Whatever he chose to, whatever he chose for you, that was what you had to do, depending on the flip of the coin. I think that is how this went. If I'm incorrect about that, just let me know in the comments section. But I think that's how that went. And then we had this felt bag, which I suppose you could put all the keys into if you wanted to, or maybe pack up all the markers at the end of the game into this bag. I'm pretty sure that's what it was meant for. But yeah, as a kid, absolutely loved this game. It was an amazing experience to watch the gatekeeper on the TV at the same time as you was playing it. To be actually afraid of him popping up on the screen to punish you was a very, very unnerving experience at the time. And I recommend, if you play this game now, crank that volume up, just crank it up, and then when the gatekeeper does turn up on the screen, he really does scare the death out of you. He really does. It's an excellent game, and even now, in 2024, if you can find it on DVD, you know, it's a pretty good game to play, and I highly recommend it. So that's about it for this episode. I just wanted to get the board game out and just kind of reignite your nostalgia for it. If you had this as a kid, I recommend you get it out and have a go with your kids or with your friends. It's a lot of fun, and don't worry if you've still got the VHS tape version of this game. You can actually find this ripped on YouTube. Someone has actually uploaded it on YouTube, so you can play along with the video that way. If you've not got this and you want to try and find it on eBay, try and get the DVD version. It might add a new element to the game, something that this couldn't offer at the time. Either one I think will be a lot of fun, and I highly recommend you play it. And remember, if you do and you play the VHS version, if you've still got a VHS tape player hanging around, just remember, be kind, rewind.
You have lost. This is the end of my game, but just the beginning of your nightmare.